15 strange royal habits of King Charles that you may miss. Since Prince Charles ascended to the throne, there has been intense public interest in all of his affairs. Everyone is suddenly interested in every detail of his lifestyle. What is his relationship with Queen Camilla like? What exactly does he eat? Is he known for any odd habits? Is he down to earth? Or does he expect to be catered to? Fortunately, royal specialists have been studying all of his strange behaviors for years, and according to reports, he has a lot of them. These are the 15 strange royal habits of King Charles that you may have missed. Number 1. He doesn't usually like traveling light. The first one on this list will surprise you. King Charles apparently doesn't like to travel light. It's not that he really does like the idea of carrying everything for a day's trip, but that's just the way he likes it. According to a book that was published this year with the title, The Palace Papers, Inside the House of Windsor, it was revealed that the king does not travel light when he goes to visit his friends in their country homes. Even if it's just for a day or two, he makes sure to carry everything he needs, which includes 3 sets of clothing per day and his personal belongings, which include things like multiple bags for every item he requires for each day, and a special bag for his neckties, shoelaces, and toiletries. He just likes to travel with everything prepared to meet his needs and requirements. Obviously, it seems like he doesn't like any inconvenience when he's out. Number 2. He prefers to carry his own belongings. But there's more, because the second strangest habit of King Charles is that he makes sure to bring his bed, his toilet seat, which, by the way, only he uses and owns, and his special toilet paper with him. A book published by Tina Brown also points out his peculiar habits, where she states that Charles makes sure to bring his own toilet seat in bed, along with the bedding when he is on tour. In another sense, she also added, when he arrived at a friend's house, so would a truck with his orthopedic bed, lavatory seat, and Kleenex velvet lavatory paper. Also, he is brand conscious. He won't use anything other than what he trusts, which also justifies why King Charles never travels light. Number 3. He admires his own art pieces. The third most strangest royal habit of King Charles is his passion for hanging his own artwork around his living space. Now, we know what a great artist he is. Sources even reveal that his paintings have sold for as high as $15,000, which was by far one of the best paintings he had ever done. But considering that he loves the art so much, he makes sure to hang them where he can see them every day. While most of us love having artwork by our favorite artists, King Charles, on the other hand, decks his room with his own decor. According to his former aide, Michael Fawcett, King Charles always insists on having his own landscape paintings hung in bedrooms where he sleeps, so that when he wakes up, he is reminded of the great artwork that he has made. Number 4. He has his own teddy that he carries everywhere. The fourth one on this list is a little odd. Some say that King Charles will probably cancel any plans to travel if he does not carry his teddy bear with him. This may come as a surprise for most of us, but it's true. The person who knows King Charles best is his former aide, Michael Fawcett. He revealed that King Charles does not like going anywhere without his childhood teddy bear. Now, I know what you're thinking, but this soft toy has a history and memory connected to it with which he has an emotional attachment. Also, whenever he travels, he makes sure it's nicely wrapped in a plastic bag and kept in a separate piece of special luggage along with the rest of the things that he carries. Number 5. He needs to see the food list before he eats. The fifth one on this list of strange royal habits is that King Charles allegedly makes sure that wherever he is, even at his own castle, he gets to see the food list before it is served to him. As much as we can see his particular habits when he travels, they also resonate when it comes to food. King Charles would probably not just eat anything that was served to him. If he happens to be abroad for a meeting or probably invited to an event, he will always request someone send him a food list because the king won't eat just anything his guests prepare. Tina Brown writes in her book that he requested over a list of the foods that he liked prior to arriving. He also brings his own pre-mixed martinis to drink. Number 6. He asks someone to squeeze his toothpaste for him. The 6th one on this list will make some of you wonder if it's just a habit or something he prefers just because he comes from a royal background. It is said that King Charles has a personal valet, not to park his car, but to squeeze his toothpaste onto his toothbrush. It's not just a made-up habit, but something he's been catered to since he was a young boy. It certainly shows that the king is far from low maintenance. This piece of information was revealed by Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell. It was during a 2015 documentary named Serving the Royals, Inside the Firm, that Paul Burrell said, Charles has his valets squeeze 1 inch of toothpaste onto his toothbrush every morning. Also, in addition to this, he also says that Charles orders someone to iron his shoelaces and is specific about where his bathtub plug is placed. According to him, his pajamas are pressed every morning, his shoelaces are pressed flat with an iron, and bath plug has to be in a certain position, and the water temperature has to be just tepid. Number 7. No lunch rule. The 7th one is something you wouldn't have guessed. It's actually a habit that he follows to make sure he gets the most out of his busy schedule, and that is the no lunch rule. You heard that right. King Charles does not prefer eating lunch because he thinks it's a waste of time. Also, the king's refusal to eat lunch has been quite the topic of discussion for a long time now. You've probably heard about it, but you haven't given it much thought. Well guys, it is. There is also a scene in the episode of The Crown, a Netflix show that portrays the lives of the British royals. There, you'll find that the king usually skips lunch. However, it's not just him who skips it. The staff that is assigned to work with him for the day too have to follow this rule. In the scene of the Netflix show, it clearly portrays how his staff is affected by his no lunch policy, given how they have to miss lunch when they're traveling with him on foreign tours or visits. However, his reasons for following a no lunch policy are mostly related to healthy eating. Number 8. He prefers eating only if the food is at a certain temperature. The next one and the 8th one on this list might make you think he has OCD, because he only eats cheese and biscuits at a specific temperature. This point also adds to one of his particular eating habits. Most of us savor a piece of cheese or even a bite of biscuits right from the pack, but the king's way of enjoying these common treats is very odd. He insists on warming his cheese and biscuits to a specific temperature before he eats them. If it's not done according to his preference, he won't even bother eating them at all. However, he indulges in this treatment only after he has had his meals. So it does give time for the butler to keep these dishes at their required temperature. But even then, it is reported that his staff just keeps a warming tray on hand just in case. Number 9. He talks to plants. The 9th one on this list is something you wouldn't have ever imagined. King Charles loves talking to plants. Since the time he was a young lad, Charles has always been fond of having a positive impact on the public regarding adopting greener practices. He sure has also adopted many green techniques that would harm the environment a little less, like when he turned his car into a non-polluting one. In addition to being an advocate of using eco-friendly methods, he also has a keen interest in gardening. This is where his habit of talking to plants comes in. He also makes sure to shake hands with all of the plants that he takes care of. This might sound weird to most of you, but it's actually not, since many people do it. It's also proven that performing this act is healthy for plants, giving them the ability to grow better. Who knew that talking to plants can make them stay healthier? Also, this theory has been proven by scientists from around the world. In an experiment, they concluded that plants can actually sense positive and negative energies. In the experiment, they kept 2 plants aside. For the first one, they spoke harsh words and did the complete opposite for the other one. Both plants were given the same amount of sunlight and air. But guess what? The one that got good and encouraging words grew better and turned out to be healthier than the other. It's not a made-up theory. You can even try it out at home if you want to test out this theory. Anyway, King Charles' habit of talking to plants is also taken from the same experiment, so you could say that the plants that he's growing are in the best shape. We're now coming close to the end of the strange royal habits. If you didn't know about any of these, then let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the button down below. Number 10. He doesn't eat everything. And now, we continue to the 10th one on this list. King Charles is a picky eater, and we get it from the previous points that we have mentioned before. This one is similar to his eating habits. King Charles is apparently very picky when he eats eggs for breakfast. This habit of his has been reported and discussed on several occasions. Also, he prefers to stick with what he is familiar with. So you can imagine him eating the same thing for breakfast for the rest of his life. He has preferred boiled eggs for breakfast since he was a child, and it has been reported that he still does so almost every day, even today. Though his breakfast comprises many things other than just boiled eggs, he prefers the eggs to be placed at a precise angle. In addition to this, there were reports that there were multiple eggs boiled for him so that the right kind of hard-boiled egg reached his table. He threw away anything that didn't appeal to him. Number 11. Ironed shoelaces or no shoelaces at all. The 11th one on this list is something no one has even imagined of doing. It's ironing their shoelaces. Though the king does not do the job, he prefers perfectly ironed shoelaces to those that aren't. This particular habit of his was revealed by his ex-butler, Paul Burrell. In the documentary Serving the Royals Inside the Firm, King Charles's ex-butler Paul Burrell talked about how King Charles likes his shoelaces to be ironed flat every morning. This habit is just one of his outrageous habits. Number 12. The king's bed needs to go everywhere he does. The 12th one is somewhat similar to what we talked about earlier. Remember how we described King Charles's travel plan? Well, it's a little similar to that. This one is even more bizarre to some. It's reported that King Charles preferred to carry his own furniture to friends' country houses. And from all the mentioned habits, you can clearly make it out that there are several things that travel with the king. Well, according to reports, King Charles likes to carry his bed, furniture, and even photographs when he visits places like friends' country houses. They are shipped in a van and are unloaded before his arrival. It is absurd to even try to imagine how much time and money it would take to simply move his belongings from one location to the other. On one occasion, he even brought 22 pieces of luggage with him on a brief 2-day trip to the US. So you can only imagine what it takes to travel with the king. Number 13. No tea from tea bags, only blend. The 13th habit of King Charles is that he doesn't drink tea from tea bags. Remember the time after he met with US President Nixon? Well, when he returned to Washington, D.C. along with his mother, Queen Elizabeth II in 1981, he got to drink tea out of a tea bag, and his reaction wasn't the best. This was what happened. During his visit, he was served tea with the tea bag. If you knew him, you know that he prefers his tea brewed in a pot, using the perfect technique so that the tea leaves flavor and aroma are best tasted. This was also the method that was adopted by almost every British household. However, during the visit, he was served tea a little differently. In the States, the method of brewing tea was not exactly done like in Britain. Instead of brewing tea leaves, they used tea bags, as it makes things easier and faster. Also, the tea bags weren't a thing for royalty. According to the president's diary entry, published years later in Vanity Fair, it seemed like the White House committed some tea-related offensive that got on the nerves of Prince Charles at the time. The entry in the journal stated, "A visit from Prince Charles was the highlight of noon. Prince Charles was also mentioned by President Reagan as a likable individual. However, an error occurred when the ushers brought him tea. They served the prince tea with the tea bag. To this president, Reagan referred to it as the horrors of horrors." Well, what could have gone wrong? We already know what a picky eater he is, and that he would only eat or drink something if he knew it was properly cooked or made. However, in this case, he picked up the cup, held it, and put it down on the table. When this incident happened, Mike Deaver, who was the deputy chief of staff at the time, escorted him back to the White House and apologized. In the end, Prince Charles remarked, "I didn't know what to do with it." Number 14. He bathes only at a certain temperature. The fourth one on the list of strange royal habits of King Charles is his strict bathing rule. Everyone has their own quirks and particular ways of carrying out their own routine, and the new King Charles is no exception. No stranger to doing things his own way, even down to the peculiar way he bathes. Former butler Paul Burrell revealed on the Amazon Prime documentary, Serving the Royals, Inside the Firm, the new monarch apparently takes his bathtub with the water temperature has to be just tepid and only half full. The butler went on to explain how every detail had to be precise, right down to the bath plug being in a certain position. Apparently, if the king's bath time wasn't regimented to a T, the staff would be scolded, unlike the bath water. Burrell said, "If anyone gets anything wrong, everybody is scolded." Number 15. The breakfast box is his favorite. And the last one on the list is, wherever the king goes, the breakfast box goes with him. According to the New York Post, it was quoted by his former members of the royal staff, Chef Graham Newbold, that as far as the king's eating habits are concerned, he has a healthier option. Wherever the prince goes in the world, the breakfast box is always with him, he adds. Reportedly, it contains 6 different types of honey, some special mueslis, his dried fruit, and anything that's a bit special that he is a bit fussy about. Additionally, Julian Payne, his former press secretary, also stated that the new monarch would power through the day by having a big breakfast. In addition to the breakfast box, he would also have fresh fruit juices, a bowl of fresh fruit, and homemade bread. Let's take a look at his schedule. His first real break of the day comes at 5 p.m. when he shares sandwiches and fruitcake with Queen Consort Camilla Parker Bowles. The king then returns to his desk before another break at 8:30 p.m. for dinner, and then at 10 p.m. returns to his desk and is said to stay there well after midnight. The king also has his very own list of food banned from going anywhere near his plate. He has a complete ban on a particularly posh dish, dubbing it disgusting, foie gras. The delicacy was ousted by the new monarch, a product made from ducks or geese after they are overfed and enlarged their liver. Andrew Farquharson, deputy master of the household at Clarence House back in 2008, revealed chefs were ordered not to buy or serve the food. He told the Daily Express at the time, "The Prince of Wales has a policy that his chefs should not buy foie gras. His Royal Highness was not aware that the House of Cheese sells foie gras, and this will be addressed when their warrant is reviewed." Let us know your thoughts on this in the comments below. I hope you have subscribed to our channel. Thank you for watching.